fishing, it's in my soul.
Welcome to the Salt Strong Podcast, disrupting fishing entertainment as you know it. Prepare to laugh. Prepare to get to know fishing legends in a whole new and unfiltered way. And on occasion, you might even learn a thing or two about fishing. Here's your host, Joe Simons. Like diamonds.
5 steps to freedom in your life. Hey everybody, Joe Simons, Like Diamonds, back again, Salt Strong, Unchurched. We're talking about freedom. Really cool story. I wrote a book called Fishing for Happiness. Gosh, it's now been like 4 or 5 years now, and it did really well. I mean, still sells a lot. I still get little royalty checks every month from Amazon and Barnes & Noble, and the book was basically my journey of being unhappy, really unfulfilled, I guess is the better word, of just not being fulfilled with life. Always asking myself, like, is this it, right? I remember being young and thinking about me like 18 young and thinking, oh man, when I'm finally 30 or when I'm 40 and I have money and I have a job, and I can buy my own car and buy my first house and get married and have a family, then I'm going to be happy, right? And all of us do that, right? I mean, when we're younger, we look at someone who's a little bit older, maybe twice our age, or someone who's got it, who's got success and they've got money and they've got a nice house, or for what it looks like on the outside, a happy family and all that. And we all think, oh man, I'm going to be happy when that happens. And I reached all those things. I actually was making really good money, and I married a beautiful girl, and I had my first daughter, and I owned my own cars, and I owned my own house, and I found myself waking up every morning still saying, is this it? And that's sad, right? Because I mean, God doesn't want us asking those questions like, is this it? Is this as good as life gets? And there's a lot of things missing in my life, including, a relationship with God, and not a great relation or a better enough relationship with my wife, because I was so busy chasing the money and so busy traveling and doing all the things I was trying to do to keep my business growing. And so I went on this journey of reading a book, kind of a self-help or a personal development book every single week. And I did it for 5 years. This book is a decade in the making. And I did this for quite some time. And then I started sharing my findings with people. And I actually started becoming happier and more fulfilled, and found a whole lot more joy in life. And so I wrote the book, published it, did really well, and I sent a copy to quite a few influencers who were mentioned in the book, because obviously, I'm quoting a lot of these different books that I read, and it being 300 books total. And one of the guys was, his name's Dan Kennedy, and he's more on the kind of the marketing and the money side of things. I basically was going for kind of a few different categories, right? Money was a big one. We all want more money, and then things like marriage and relationships, right? How to have a better relationship, and then there was the religious side, just faith. What's all this stuff about? And then overall just happiness and fulfillment, right? And a lot of it came down to freedom and control of your life, which we're going to spend the rest of this episode talking about. But this one book that made it to Dan Kennedy, once again, 4 years ago, he finally read it. And he ended up forwarding on to this lady named Lee Meltier, who's got a massive following, been doing kind of self-help stuff and a lot of stuff with money and business growing for many decades. And she's got followers literally worldwide. So she reaches out to me and she's like, Joe, I've read this book twice. I can't put it down. It's amazing. I want all of my hundreds of thousands of my listeners and my audience to know about it as well. Can I interview you and share what you've done? And so I did. And it was really interesting, because I hadn't really reread the book in quite some time. And it was just a big interview, and it's going to be going out to many countries. Like literally, people in Japan are going to be hearing this video and in this interview with me. And so I obviously reread the book, and then she gave me her questions, and it was really interesting. What she found powerful, and she put a really big focus on freedom, and it makes sense why, right? I mean, deep down, that's something that we're all trying to achieve, right? We all want to be happy, and we want to be free. And it's a big part of America. Why people want to come here, right? Is for the most part, we've got pretty good freedom, and that is, one thing that we're all looking for in life. And one of the quotes, doggone, I completely forgot. I quoted this and she had highlighted it, and we're going to talk about this in a second. It says, true wealth is freedom and control over your life's dreams. Don't hand it over for stuff or status. So think about that. Don't hand it over for stuff or status. I thought that was a really, really powerful one. So anyhow, I'm going to go over the 5 steps. These are 5 of the many things I talk about in this book in terms, these are kind of action steps to get more freedom in your life. And number 1, and these are in no particular order, take control of your time. And here's the deal. If you don't respect your own time, don't expect others to respect it. Think about that, right? I mean, people that get walked on all the time and wake up all of a sudden or going to bed and like, I didn't have time to do anything. It's usually because either they're not good with their time or they don't respect their own time or others aren't respecting their time. And usually that goes back to some type of issue with you not respecting your time. And I know better than anyone because that was my life when I started reading this book. I was trying to please everyone and I wanted to make sure everyone was happy with me. And I was so afraid to say no. I had absolutely zero control of my own time. I had no control of my calendar. I was just getting pulled in a million different directions, and I was miserable because of it. AKA, I had no freedom, right? I mean, that's not a good feeling. And the less time you have to do things that you want to do that make you happy, the less miserable you're going to be and the less freedom and control you have. I mean, more control, right? More control of your time equals more freedom, equals more happiness, equals more fulfillment. It's a pretty simple equation, and it's so true. I mean, the more control you have of your time equals more freedom and more happiness and more fulfillment. And as soon as I started taking control of my time, and for a lot of us, that just means getting on a calendar and blocking out time. If all of us just did that one small thing, just blocked out 2 hours of our day, or even start with an hour, right? I try to do 3 hours. In any given day, I have 3 hours as my own time. I can do whatever the heck I want. And for some of you, I could never do that. I'm telling you, you can't. I run a pretty big business now with 20 employees and a lot of people reporting me and a lot of people trying to get my time, a father of 3 people and a good husband and a lot going on in my life. And I find a way to do it. And I'm telling you, it's liberating. It gives you so much freedom, which means I'm happier, which means I'm going to get my other work done quicker. It's crazy when you just take a step back and take a breather. And sometimes that means I am working. Sometimes it means I'm reading a book. Sometimes it means I'm doing an interview with someone. But I literally try to block out 3 hours every day and might just go work out or run around the block. Could be going kayaking on the paddleboard out in the boat, getting some fresh air, just thinking. It is crazy. And I know you might be saying, well, man, I've got a full-time job and it's crazy. Do it at nighttime. You find the time to do it early in the morning. I mean, that time to me, because I used to work for a company that had really long hours. And that was back when I didn't have much time. But the one time I cherished was the morning. I'd wake up at 5 a.m. and I'd just walk around the block. Or when I lived in Tampa at the time, I remember walking down on Harbor side and going down by the little marina. And it was just so peaceful, so quiet. It was my absolute most favorite time of the day. And I felt like I had some freedom. So number 1 is take control of your time. Number 2, this is a tough one for someone. I've done an entire podcast on it. Forgiveness, to be able to forgive someone and not hold a grudge. You cannot have freedom in your life if you haven't forgiven someone. That means you've got something on your shoulder, on your chest, whatever you want to call it. It's always in the back of your mind. You wake up mad about this person or this thing or this company, whatever it is. You will never have ultimate freedom and control if you can't forgive. And I think we all know that deep down, right? We know that normally if you're angry with someone and you're holding in resentfulness. Oh my gosh, I can't even speak today. But if you're holding in any type of anger for any amount of time, it's hurting you more than it hurts the other person. They don't know. They could care less. Many times they're going on with their life, and we're sitting here damaging ourselves and literally sabotaging our own happiness, our own freedom by being mad at that person or that event or whatever it might be. And there's been some times that have been really tough for me to forgive, that things that have really been hurtful. And I mean, literally had money stolen from me one time, a lot of money. from an old business deal. And I was so mad. And as soon as I was able to forgive that person, even though I never got the money back, I got some of it back, didn't get all of it back. I finally just forgave that person and said, you know what? They're going to be miserable the rest of their life. Karma's going to get them. God will take care of them. I'm just going to go do my thing. It was like all of a sudden I looked at the world differently. Like my entire happiness like skyrocketed when I finally just like, and I'm talking about literally just forgot about that person and forgave them. Super, super tough, but critical to having freedom in your life. Another one goes back to number one is this time is turn off your notifications. I have found that the people around me who always seem the most stressed and always end up saying, like uttering these words, I don't have time to get anything done. I'm so stressed. They're the ones that have their phone and laptop and iPhone watches, their Apple watches on every notification, and they're always so stinking busy. I am telling you, if you turn off your notifications, like I haven't had my phone ringer on in well over 4.5 years now. Not once. Literally, it has been off, and I've never once missed any kind of emergency at all. And I'm talking about, it's on either on vibrate or it's on airplane mode, like meaning do not disturb, like can't reach me. Every night, people are like, man, like, well, what if someone called you an emergency? Who cares? I'll get it in the morning. There can't be that big of an emergency. Even if someone's dying, I can't, there's probably not much I can do, to be honest with you. And what is the chance that is going to happen to now, maybe that happens 1 in 5 years where someone's literally dying and trying to reach you, but and I don't think it's ever going to happen personally, where you're the only person they're ever going to be able to reach. But I mean, think about all the little dings and wake ups and things that you stress about. You look at your phone, all of a sudden it's something that gets you mad. It's some political thing, or golly, every single person, I'm just telling you, that I've talked to that feels stressed and has no control and freedom of their life, they seem to have their notifications turned on and getting dings and pings every which way, and literally just getting yanked around like a monkey going after a bell every time it hears it in any different direction. I'm just telling you, turning off your notifications, it literally changed everything for me. And I found I was now more in tune with my kids and my wife. I mean, don't you hate that, right? When you're trying to have a conversation with someone and all of a sudden they get a ding or their phone's ringing and now they've literally lost eye contact. They're looking down at their phone. They're not paying attention to you. It's super frustrating. And that person has zero control. I literally lose all respect for someone I'm talking to, and all of a sudden their phone's dinging and binging and they're now literally, oh, I got to take this or whatever it is. Like, to me, that's just so rude. If you're having a conversation with someone, have the conversation, look them in the eyes and be intent, be focused. And I'm telling you, you will have more freedom in your life because of it, by not letting someone else or some of their dings or bings or notifications control your life. Turn off the notifications. Next one is the quote I mentioned earlier. True wealth and true freedom is control over your life streams. Don't hand it over to things, stuff, status. I have a whole chapter in the book about renting versus owning. And this was a church service in Georgia that I heard that really had a massive, massive impact on my life. And he kind of used the analogy that in life, we all think we own this stuff and we get so just like, I mean, some of us, like, we're maniacs about it. It's all we think about is, oh, I got to buy this and this and how's this, and oh, someone scratched my new car or whatever it is, and or you know what, like something's going on with my house, or I want to buy this house, or I want to upgrade this, and we get so concerned. And we spend so much of our time thinking about what we're going to buy next, or what we're going to have, or how we're going to get this. And in reality, we don't own any of it. Right. Because think about it. At any given time, in the past couple of years, we've lost so many people. I've lost loved ones, lost a couple of family members, and their life was taken away in a really short amount of time. They didn't see it coming. Most of us don't, right? Most of us, have no idea when we're going to pass away. No clue. Couldn't even guess the month or the year. And yet it happens to people every single second. They're gone, and guess what happens? They now don't own that stuff. It clearly was rented from God. And it was a really, really massive, massive transformation for me to start thinking about that, because I used to like my stuff, right? And I used to think about it a lot and get real excited about it. And it did. I mean, buying a new car, a new house, it does. It provides you temporary happiness. It usually does not provide long-term fulfillment because we don't really own that stuff. Every single bit of it, we're giving back. We're just renting it while we're here on this earth. After that, it's not ours. It might go to the kids. It might go to the government and taxes. Who knows where it's going to go, but it ain't going in our pocket because we're gone. We're long gone. So think about that. Any time that you start finding yourself just dwelling on, oh man, I got to have this, or stressing out about stuff or status or looking better than your neighbor, getting a bigger car, a more expensive car, whatever it is, think, man, like I don't even own this stuff. Why am I letting this take up so much of my time and of my thoughts, right? Because that's not freedom. If you're letting things control you, you're losing freedom. Every time you're letting stuff or status have any control over you, you're giving up freedom. So don't let that stuff, it literally just destroys your dreams too, right? I mean, most of us, our dream is not to buy a $200,000 car. It could be cool. It'd be awesome if you can, if you already have one, awesome. But I guarantee you probably get tired of it after a year or two, maybe even after a month or two. And that's not what brings you long-term fulfillment. Number 5, and this is really just giving it all to God. When we did that with Salt Strong, when we truly said, God, this is your company, I believe that you've put us here in place to run it. Going back to that rent versus own, right? That this is not ours. This is yours. We're renting it from you. We are going to do our absolute best with it. Same with our bodies and everything else. This is yours, God, and we're going to give it to you and just be the best stewards possible. I'm telling you, everything changed. Everything changed in terms of our revenue. Everything changed in terms of the people we're able to impact. Everything changed in terms of the people we brought on, like our own team members who have become our family. Everything got better when we just gave it to God and said, God, it's yours. We are going to trust you. And I think if you do that with everything in your life, including your home and including all of your stuff, right? And just say, God, this is yours. I'm going to do my best with it. I'm so thankful and grateful you've given me and you've empowered me to use this to the best of my ability. But end of the day, it's yours. And when we do that, and same even with our family, I shared this before, and it was really, really tough time for a guy in one of our groups that I was part of back in the day, and he lost his daughter at before 1 year old, so it was actually born, but didn't really make it that long. Had some issues from the get go, and I can only imagine how tough that was. And anyone who's lost a child, I mean, we had an issue, pre-birth. And that's tough, right? Anytime that you have something like that, it is incredibly tough. It can ruin relationships. It could literally suck all the freedom and control of your life because that's all you think about. And sometimes it's because you can't forgive God or the doctor or whatever might have happened. And all that stuff just sucks it out of you. And he had a really, really tough time with it, as any of us would. It's only natural. I'm not saying that you shouldn't, have sorrow and have some suffering. That's 100% natural. But to carry that for the rest of your life and to blame and to never forgive and never get over it, that's honestly not healthy. And here's what he did. This is what finally got him over. This is why it's so critical to give it all to God. He finally had someone praying over him and said, you know what? God needed your daughter up there more than he needed her down here for whatever. You're not going to understand it why, but you have to believe that or you're never going to get over this. You're going to end up being depressed and divorced and your life will never be the same. And all God wants you to do is to learn from this and to grow stronger from it, not to sit there and have sorrow forever. Sorrowness is temporary, right? The suffering is temporary. It shouldn't go on forever and ever. God doesn't want that out of his children. And he finally did. And he finally says, you know what? I'm going to give it all to God. Even this baby he took. I don't understand why, God, but I'm believing that you needed her up there more than you needed her down here. And I can't wait to meet her one day up there. And he said, as tough as that was, it helped tremendously and ended up, really kind of saving their marriage, because that's such a tough time when both the husband and wife are going through a really tough time and not understanding. And doing a little bit of blaming and always asking and always just dwelling on it and not forgiving, it sucked the freedom right out of their life. And as soon as they handed over to God and said, God, I don't understand, but we can't change what happened. There's no way we can get her back. And we're just going to have to trust that you needed her up there more than we needed her down here. And it literally changed their lives by finally just declaring and really believing that. And now happily married, have another child who is healthy and is a few years old. And life has moved on. I'm sure, yes, every anniversary they probably think of her, just like all of us who've lost people. It's never fun, but isn't that kind of an exciting way to think about it, right? That every time we lose someone, that because we can't get it back, right? No matter how much we cry or dwell on it or suffer because of it, they're not coming back. So you might as well say, God, I'm going to give it to you. I am going to 100% trust you. And I'm telling you, every time you do that, you get more freedom back in your life. You start having more control. And that does lead to more happiness and more fulfillment. So I hope this was helpful. I'll rehash these 5 again. So 1, take control of your time. If you don't respect your time, don't expect others to respect you. Take control of your time every which way possible. That's all that we have, right? That's the one thing that we all have the same amount of, regardless if you're Warren Buffett, if you're the poorest person in the world, or if you're you, we all have the exact same amount of minutes in the day. Maximize them. Take control of them. That's the only way to truly have freedom in your life. Number 2 is to forgive. Number 3 is to turn off those notifications. I know that could be a goofy one for some of you, but if you're not 100% fulfilled in life, and if you don't feel like you have a lot of freedom in your life, and you're always running out of time and never have time to finish everything, turn them off for 30 days and watch what happens. Turn them off, and you will be shocked at how much freedom and how fewer times you're just bouncing around from thing to thing, just always trying to catch up. There will be less emergencies, hopefully no emergencies, and you will be like, your stress level will go down big time. Turn off those notifications. The other one is that kind of rent versus own. The true wealth and freedom is control over your life dreams. Never hand it over to stuff or to status. And then finally, give it all to God. When in doubt, give it all to God. Every time I've done that, it has worked. And every time I haven't, I wish I'd done it earlier, right? Every time I've wanted to try to do it on my own or blame something else or say, oh man, this is mine, I'm gonna take full control over this and not trust God, it's been a mistake. And so those are my 5 steps to freedom. If you want to learn all about all the other ones, that freedom was just one of the kind of the main 4 cornerstones in Fishing for Happiness. You can find that book on Amazon.com, Fishing for Happiness. And if we ever meet, I'd love to sign it. We just had a fishing meetup with Salt Strong, and it was cool. I had quite a few people brought Fishing for Happiness, the book, for me to sign. That was really cool. And maybe you're one of them. I really appreciate that. That meant a lot to me. It's cool to see people read this and get a lot of enjoyment and hopefully more fulfillment out of it. So that's Fishing for Happiness by Joe Simons. If you have any questions, I'd love to hear from you on this. Or if there's anything you're struggling with out of these 5 or others, let me know. And if you need tips on any of these in terms of taking control of your time and calendars and schedules, regardless if you own your own company or if you're employed, I've been in all shoes, and I'm encouraging even our own employees to do that. So we're now making, just so you know, we're like forcing our own employees to take control of their own time and actually on their calendar to take time every week for themselves to go work out, to do something that's not work related. I truly believe it's that beneficial. So this is not me just saying, oh, you can do it when you finally reach the top and have your own company and make your own rules. No, this is for everyone, even if you're starting at the absolute bottom of the totem pole. So that's it, guys. Shoot me an email, Joe, Joe, at saltstrong.com. If you have any other questions or thoughts, I love hearing from you. I love all the emails I get on Sunday and Monday, seem to be the majority of them. But shoot me a message anytime. I'd love to hear from you. And otherwise, I will chat with you on the next episode.
'Cause fishing, it's in my soul, it was pain.